Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro has paid tribute to late President Hugo Chavez on the 6th anniversary of his death. Maduro led the event from the emblematic Cuartel de la Montaña in Caracas, which is also a mausoleum for Commander Chavez. Maduro called on Venezuelan people to participate in two rallies to be held on March 8th and 9th. The Venezuelan president says Chavez left a legacy of hope that it still remains.
We have been living every day, every week and every month during the last 6 years, fighting, keeping up our struggle, sometimes moving forward, sometimes in a good way, sometimes not in such a good way. But we have always kept in our minds his spirit, his strength. And for that reason, Commander Chavez is still here, and he's our future. He's our force to the future. Chavez is the new hope for a better tomorrow.
On February the 4th of 1992, Commander Hugo Chavez sealed a pact of love and loyalty with the Venezuelan people. A pact that has never been broken, with full commitment and humility. He never betrayed his people nor let them down, and neither did his people.
I have seen and I have felt that the love between us, the love for what is ours, the love of our people for the revolution has only grown. And many times I have said the words of José Martí, love is rewarded with love.
With loyal people by his side from the beginning, he became immortal in Venezuelan history. Thanks to his hard work as president, Venezuela is considered to be at the forefront of respecting the dignity and sovereignty of people, becoming an example for a huge number of nations.
We have received the most tragic of news. At 4:25 p.m. on March 5th, our commander, Hugo Chavez Frias, has passed away.
The tragic news of his death broke millions of hearts. Amidst the pain, Venezuelan people swore loyalty to the continuation of the revolution, awakening patriotism and dignity among them. The entire world expressed solidarity with the Venezuelan people, recognizing the magnitude of Commander Chavez's work, which was achieved out of love for his country and also for humanity. He accomplished Simón Bolívar's dream of returning dignity to the invisible and to build a big, prosperous and sovereign country.
I am no longer Chavez. Chavez is a people. Chavez are millions. You too are Chavez. Venezuelan woman, you too are Chavez. Venezuelan youth, you too are Chavez. Venezuelan child, you too are Chavez. Venezuelan soldier, you too are Chavez.
Commander Chavez left a legacy of unwavering fight for the Bolivarian revolution, a fight that despite difficulties, people refused to give up. They refused to walk backwards on all that has been achieved during the revolutionary process.
Venezuela's Vice President Delcy Rodriguez has wrapped up her working visit to Russia. More in this report.
The strengthening of strategic relations between Russia and Venezuela serves to benefit Venezuela's recovery, growth, and economic prosperity program. The recent contract signed by Venezuela's vice president in the Russian capital will see expansion of cooperation between the two countries.
Russia will continue to work with Venezuelan authorities in resolving economic and social problems, including through various humanitarian response mechanisms. We think that the best way to help Venezuelans is to expand pragmatic and mutually beneficial collaboration.
The great economic and political potential of Russia is also complemented by Venezuela's potential in the fields of energy, science, commerce, finance, and also in the military.
Meanwhile, the political factions of the Russian State Duma have described the United States' interference in Venezuelan internal affairs as a violation of international law.
We emphasize that relationships should be developed based on principles of friendship, equity, trust, and non-interference in internal affairs.
Russia is a power at the forefront of the geopolitical reconfiguration of the world. a new morphology, a world of equilibrium, a world of justice, a counter-hegemonic world.
Moscow continues its rejection of the plans by the United States, which seek to change governments in the Bolivarian nation.
In Venezuela, peace will be imposed and will win. The Venezuelan people, the vast political majorities, even the democratic opposition sectors are against these plans.
We welcome the decision of the President of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, who's willing to hold dialogue with all of the political forces of Venezuela, with the opposition, without the need for prerequisites.
During the next Russia-Venezuela Intergovernmental Mixed Commission, more than 200 signed agreements between governments will be reviewed.
The Venezuelan city of Puerto Cabello has started the traditional La Hamaca festivities. Hundreds of people join the celebration, which starts with the depiction of a dead. A wake is held for the representation of a deceased person, with dances and music throughout the night. After that, the deceased is wrapped in a hammock and symbolically buried during Carnival Tuesday or Mardi Gras. This is the 148th anniversary of the traditional celebration.
Contrary to mainstream media reporting on Venezuela, the people are free and have taken this opportunity to have fun. Kids get dressed up in their costumes and take part in the carnival celebrations, free from fear, and the smiles on everyone's faces says it all.
To share this festivity with my family is really important. It's good for the kids to go out and have fun in a different way.
While most Venezuelans are out enjoying the festivities, others gathered in Plaza Alfredo Sadel Square in the capital, Caracas, to welcome opposition lawmaker and self-proclaimed interim president Juan Guaidó. He returned to Venezuela freely and faced no charges, even though the mainstream media said he would be arrested. His supporters continue on the path of destabilization.
Regarding the possibility of war, I think it won't come to that. The United States is not crazy. The US knows what it's doing, as do the other countries that support them.
The country is going through the most difficult stage in this period of its history.
Despite the countries and politicians who support war in Venezuela to overthrow the legitimate government of President Nicolas Maduro, Venezuelans are raising their voices in favor of peace.
I'm here to enjoy with my children. We Venezuelans want to live in peace for our children. Our children are the most important thing.
Citizens are carrying on with their daily lives, despite the threat of war looming over them.
Violent clashes have erupted in the party of Verbo da Luz in Rio's Carnival. Clashes broke out following a fight after midday. Riot police fired tear gas to disperse the crowd. At least one person has been arrested. Singer Ludmila stopped her show when the violence started and the street party was cut short.
No meio da confusão, muitos policiais cercaram
During Monday's night's carnival parade in Rio de Janeiro, a samba school paid tribute to slain councilwoman and human rights activist Marielle Franco. Waving flags with Franco's face on them, the Mangueiras samba dance troupe marched in the Sambódromo. Marielle Franco was a member of Rio's municipal chamber and as well-known activist for women's, LGBTQ, and the Afro-Brazilian rights. She was shot dead last year along with her driver, Anderson Gomez.
She was the only black councillor in Rio de Janeiro who carried in her body and in her story all the causes she defended. She was a black woman from the favelas, a lesbian who was executed. Almost a year after this political crime, Brazil is still unable to say who ordered Marielle's murder.
This year, Mangueira pays tribute to democracy, to a country that we want to defend, a fair country, a country that does not accept Marielle's death, a country that only accepts its true history and meaning.
Bolivia has celebrated the last day of Carnival with traditional dances and parades, including the famed UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage Carnival in Oruro. The Bolivian Carnival is all about greeting Mother Earth, the Pachamama, through local rituals called Chaya and La Nata Andina. More than 140 celebrations took place around the country to celebrate the 4-day festival. The carnival in Trinidad and Tobago has come to an end with a spectacular parade. The street came to life as people in colorful and wonderful costumes made their way through dancing on a glorious day. The two-day festival included a number of cultural events in celebration of the country's unique diversity. It is one of the most anticipated events in the calendar. In the German city of Munich, fruits and vegetable sellers are performing their annual carnival dance. They are dressed with costumes representing their trade. Thousands of people participated in the festivity. Each year, vendors started preparing 10 new dances from October. The first dance took place in 1987. More news coming up. We'll be back in a minute. Welcome back. The Special Jurisdiction for Peace in Colombia has decided to open an investigation into the genocide committed against the left-wing Patriotic Union Party in the 1990s, a collection of crimes that left over 6,000 victims. Our correspondent in Bogota, Manuel Jimenez, brings us up to date.
The Special Jurisdiction for Peace has opened the case 006 about attacks of several state agents against members of the Patriotic Union Party. Two retired army generals have been linked to this case. The first one, Rito Alejo del Rio, known as the peacemaker of Uraba, has been sentenced to 37 years for the murder of a social leader in the department of Chocó in 1997. He is also being investigated for 103 massacres in the Uraba region between 1998 and 2002. The other retired general, Jaime Uzcategui, has been sentenced to 25 years in prison for the 1997 Mapiripan massacre, in which 200 campesinos lost their lives in the hands of paramilitary groups. Other witnesses have been called to testify in this case, such as paramilitary group officers from the 1980s and 90s. The former president of the Administrative Department of Security, retired General Miguel Maza Marquez, could also be linked to this case, in which more than 6,000 people, members of the Patriotic Union Party, were murdered between 1984 and 2002 by paramilitary groups. A political genocide and a crime against humanity denounced in several international courts.
We thank Manuel for that report. Dozens of armed men in Brazil entered protected indigenous land in the Amazon just 10 days after President Jair Bolsonaro took office. The indigenous community confronted the men armed with machetes, chainsaws, and firearms. This clash is part of a surge of threats and illegal incursions that indigenous rights groups have reported after Bolsonaro's rise to power. Jamaica's business community is urging politicians to adhere to the political code of conduct. 4 powerful business groups have accused opposition candidate Damian Crawford of making sexist and classist remarks towards his political rival Anne-Marie Vaz. The comments were made during a campaign rally ahead of the April 4th Portland East by-election. The organizations have condemned negative campaigning from both parties. Bahamas government is assuring residents and visitors that their safety is of paramount importance. This is in response to the latest travel advisory issued by the United States, warning of violent crime in tourist areas. Bahamas says the vast majority of the country's 6 million annual visitors stayed on the island without any incident. As such, it is recommending caution, but has urged visitors not to delay or cancel their travel plans to the islands. Guyana is set to implement a ban on single-use plastics by 2021. The government has already begun sensitizing the population. Several Caribbean countries have already implemented ban on single-use plastics. An estimated 8 million metric tons of plastic waste enter the world's ocean annually.
There is a lot of plastic.
It also provides a good opportunity to raise awareness about the vast diversity of marine life globally, its crucial importance to human development, and the importance of prudent management of marine resources for future generations.
A cozy little spot on the island of Antigua and Barbuda has been voted as the best attraction in the entire Caribbean. Nelson's Dockyard, which was also selected as UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2016, was given the tag by the readers of USA Today. It topped the category for the annual Reader's Choice Awards. We'll be back in a minute. Stay with us. Welcome back. The president of Senegal, Macky Sall, has been officially declared winner of the February 24 vote. The Constitutional Council confirmed his re-election with 58% of votes. The opposition has rejected the results but decided not to appeal. Sall has made a call for dialogue to continue his modernizing plans.
My role is to unite us around our shared ideals. That's why I extend a hand to all to hold and open a constructive dialogue in the higher interests of the nation. I will make proposals along those lines after my swearing-in ceremony on April 2nd. I invite to this Republican dialogue all the stakeholders of the nation without exclusion. A dialogue in which my predecessors, the President Abdou Diouf and Abdoulaye Wade, may contribute.
Internally displaced Cameroonians continue to arrive to the French-speaking department of Mongo. They are fleeing the conflict in the English-speaking regions of the country. In the small city of Kongsamba, about 100 families have taken refuge. Since 2017, English-speaking separatists have taken up arms against the French-speaking government on the western flank of Cameroon.
Even we receive things, our brothers are still homeless, as I can say. So we give them thanks, and we also give them courage so that they should bring our brother back to our home. We are homeless, and we really suffered. It is not easy in our family, so we really ask government to look into our problem.
We are in a French-speaking area here, but increasingly my team and I are learning English because every day there are more of them coming here, and we are doing our best to give them the care they need, but also psychological support.
The United States has come under scathing criticism from Syria. The government is accusing Washington of promoting the presence of terrorist groups in the Middle Eastern state. Syria says it has seen this U.S. strategy of destabilization before, and it warns that Venezuela may be the next target.
Sophisticated weapons made in the United States were brought into Syria from Turkey and other neighboring countries. They were hidden in caravans along with so-called humanitarian aid, just like the last attempt to bring humanitarian aid into Venezuela from Colombia. In Syria, the concealed weapons were used by armed groups to kill over 500,000 Syrians. They would then turn around and blame the Syrian army. This is how they sought to justify foreign intervention.
The U.S. is following the same script, using the same excuse of humanitarian aid, applying economic sanctions and promoting a media war to defeat legitimate leaders. It happened in our country, and it's happening right now in Venezuela. We are all too familiar with this strategy. That's how we are now able to expose it.
Washington has also established military bases on the Syrian soil and has formed an international coalition to fight Daesh in Syria. But these troops ended up killing thousands of civilians instead of actually fighting extremists. It is estimated that the troops destroyed 2/3 of Syria's infrastructure. They have also taken the country's natural resources.
The only thing the U.S. has done in Syria is to extend the war to take our resources under the fake excuse of promoting democracy and fighting terrorism. And we share this experience with our Venezuelan brothers. We advise them to keep supporting their leaders and not to trust in the promise made by the West.
The war forced almost half of the Syrian population to live as refugees in neighboring countries or to be internally displaced. At the same time, the national economy suffered losses estimated in over $500 billion. Meanwhile, Washington continues with its sabotage to the agreements aimed at selling peace discussed in Geneva, Astana, Kazakhstan, and Sochi.
The US is the main force that promotes the war in Syria, making Syrian people suffer. It does so through the use of armed violence and the imposition of the blockade. This has also been done with the support of terrorists and the illegal deployment of its troops in Syria, also through the backing of its allies.
But despite the constant aggressions by the US, Syria is trying to return to normal. Still, Syria is facing many challenges as it trudges along the path to peace.
Over 80 people have been arrested in the U.S. after protesting a court's decision that freed 2 police officers involved in the death of Stephon Clark last year. Our correspondent Jorge Gestoso brings us the details.
Thank you. 84 people were arrested in Sacramento, California, after protesting against the decision of the prosecution not to place charges against 2 policemen who were killing Stephon Clark, a young black man of 22 years of age, in March, who was running after the police were finding him suspicious of committing some crimes. He was running with no guns and has been shot 20 times, 8 of the times in his back. Most definitely, that is bringing the issue of police brutality or the use of killing force by the policemen against the black community. And there is a very, very concerning statistics. Even though in the United States 13% of the population is black, 33% of the killings by the police are done to black people. It's absolutely disproportionate, the relation between the black population and the use of lethal force by the police. In this case, there has been protest, and in this case, the arrests were including some clergymen that are very, very recognized in that Sacramento community, showing also that this time the protests were much more repressed by the police than in other times. We get back to you now.
And we thank Jorge for that report, and we leave you with this song inspired by a poem written by Alberto Arbelo Torrealba, dedicated to Libertador Simón Bolívar, the role model of late Commander Hugo Chavez.
Como el tiro en el asalto, como el toro en el rodeo, por aquí pasó, como el relincho en el aire, por aquí pasó, como el casco en el silencio, como el grito del centauro en las queseras del medio, por aquí pasó, por aquí pasó, por aquí pasó. Compadre, por aquí pasó un gigante, por aquí pasó, compadre, por aquí pasó un gigante, por aquí pasó.
We come to the end of this news brief. You can find this and many other stories in our website at telsurenglish.net. And don't forget to follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For Telesur English, I'm Jose Daniel Lopez. Thank you for watching.